Good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's special sales techniques training with our special guest, Mr. Mike Archer. My name is
Everybody.
Mark Krebs. I am a gold qualified consultant with Team Sunset, part of Team Empire, Team Rising Tide. I am based here in Vermillion, South Dakota, small town of about 10,000 people, but 5,000 of those are college students, so we are a ghost town right now. Just a little bit about me. I have been with Archer and Evolution Travel for over 2 years, but I have been a travel agent for over 10 years. I have been in the travel industry though for about 14 years though, working for United Airlines and various hotel chains. And I have been doing sales and customer service for over 20 years. So it is my pleasure to introduce our special guest tonight, Mr. Mike Archer,
Hi, everybody.
coming to us from the great state of Washington tonight. Mike teaches our advanced sales professional training class on Mondays at 11 a.m. Pacific time. For those of you who are interested in becoming an Archer travel sales professional, this is an absolutely amazing course that will help your business. Since I have taken Mike's class in January, I graduated back on January 23rd. I have seen my sales in my business jump 400 to 500% in those 5 months. So Mike's sales techniques that I have put into place with my business truly do work, and my business sales are a direct result of that, and I'm living proof that his training does work. So Mike, go ahead and take it away, and we will take questions during the presentation, and afterwards, just please, we ask that you just raise your hand and I will call on you for any questions.
And this can come at any time, people. So don't be afraid to make me stop and pause if you have any questions that are going on. So Mark and I have talked extensively about what we want to get accomplished today. And essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you an abbreviated version of the very first lesson, just so you can get an idea of what it is that you're getting yourselves into. So the first lesson really is, so you signed up to be an Evo rep, now what? So just to give you a little bit of background on me and where I'm coming from. Come on. My background is I spent 27 years in the yearbook business. So
Mike, we
I
can't
helped.
see your screen. Sorry.
I'm sorry?
We can't see your screen.
You can't?
No, you're a co-host, so you should be able to see it. And I've got share screen available. So
hold on a second. What? Uh-oh. So you guys can't see what I'm talking about.
Are you on a double monitor, Mike?
No, I have a single monitor.
Huh.
Okay. I can see you, but I can't see your screen, Mike.
Okay, tell you what, rather than doing that, I will just walk you through what's going on, and I'll just give you a little bit of background on what we're doing on how this all came about. So I spent 27 years in the yearbook business, and in those 27 years, I delivered $25 million worth of sales to the company that I worked for. When I retired, I was the number 6 guy in our company out of a sales force of 125 people nationwide. The company started a mentoring program when I had been with them for about 5 years, and I helped them develop this mentoring program. So I'm very familiar with that because, like you, many of you come into Evo and you don't know what sales is. You've never had a sales background. And that was the same thing for us. We got most of our new sales reps from yearbook advisors. They were tired of making very little money, and working their fannies off, you know, teaching kids. And so they like the building the yearbook side, and they wanted to come in and say, because we talked to them and say, you'd be a really good yearbook rep. So we would come alongside and mentor them about what it would be how to be a salesperson. The other thing is, I was the very first sales job I ever had was in apartment sales. And the guy that owned the company put us through a course called the Sales Training Institute. And that's where this course comes from. So the course was 16 weeks. It was 2 nights a week, 3 hours a night. So it was a very, very extensive course. And what I did when Ron came to me and said he wanted to develop a sales training program for Evo, I took this course and culled it down into 7, basically 30 to 40 minute sessions. So that's the basis of what I train. And here's the program itself. And so that's where we came from. So I want to emphasize that sales is a relationship business. Selling, those of you that are fairly young and you grew up in the digital world, you're used to communicating on, you know, telephones, computers, all that stuff. And if you're selling to yourselves, if you're selling to your friends and your family, that might be an okay way to sell. But if you're trying to develop a business where you are trying to gain new customers with people you don't know, that method is not going to work. Selling is a face-to-face business, and I can't stress that strongly enough. So what we're going to do, this whole course is based on the relationship and how the relationship works. Let me go to where I want to be. So the first thing is, let's see if you guys can see this. Can you see this?
Hold it back a little bit, Mike.
Can you see
There
this?
you go.
Okay. So the very first thing you want to do, this is how you manage your time. All right. There's an art and there's a science to selling. And so what I'm showing you is the very first thing you want to do is establish the relationship. And you'll notice that in this inverted triangle, more than half of your time is spent establishing the relationship and asking questions. That's the basis. That's the first half of selling. And that's what you're looking to do. So then once you've established the relationship and you've figured out, and sales, really guys, sales is nothing more. Here's the essence of sales. It is finding out what somebody wants and then showing them why it's better to get it from you than from anybody else. And the very first thing you need to understand in sales is you are not selling travel. You are not selling recruitment for Evo travel. You are selling yourself first. Then you're selling your product and your services. People want to know if they can trust you. And so establishing the relationship and asking questions is how you get to there. So after you've asked your questions, then the next thing you want to do is you want to present your program. And then so once you present your program, then you help make the decision. So it's a 4-step process to selling. Selling is not complicated. It is not rocket science. It's simply finding out what people want and then showing them how they can get it. So establish the relationship, ask the questions, and this is how you spend your time. And there's no set amount of time that you can spend in either one of these. You might have somebody that wants to establish a relationship and they don't care about that. They just want to get down to the basics. When I talk to people about sales and how you get there, it's you and I are going to take a road trip and you're the driver and I'm the navigator. And we're going to go from Seattle to Portland. And I don't care how we get there. We can go straight down I-5. We can go down Highway 101 and come in on the coast. We can go in through the Yakima Valley and come in through the Columbia River Gorge. I don't care how we get to Portland because I've got the map. The map is the questions that I ask. And so your answers, your client's answers determine which route we take to get there. So once we get to Portland, I now know what you want. So I'm going to go home and I'm going to sit down and I'm going to put together a program that I know you're going to read because you've told me that's the way you want to go. So you'll notice at the very bottom of making the decision, that's the least amount of time you spend. If you do the first three properly, making the decision is the logical consequence of what you've just done. So they just say, well, of course, where's your pen? I'll sign. So making the decision becomes a mutually beneficial end to the relationship. And actually, the relationship is just getting started, because once they've decided to do business with you, you just got married. Because your job is to walk them through the program, what they want to do. They're going to go on their trip, and then when they come home, you're going to call them and ask them how the trip went. So you are trying to establish lifelong business relationships with your people. So that's how you manage your time. Okay. So then the next thing is the science of selling. Can you see this? You guys all see
yeah,
it?
we're good, Mike.
Okay. So all right, so the science of selling, this is the process. This is the actual process that you're going to walk yourselves through when you're going and talking to people. So the very first thing you're going to do, you've established a relationship, you've asked the questions. Now, typically what you're going to do is you'll see the summary statement. The question you ask yourself is, do I know enough? If you do not ask this question, you are not ready to go home and make your presentation. Anytime I walked into a sales presentation, I walked in with red flags. And my job was to turn all of those red flags to yellow flags, which meant I knew something, but I needed to know more, to green flags, which meant I now have everything I need to make a coherent presentation that I know they'll listen to and hopefully that they will buy. So the summary statement is, do I know enough? And this is critical, because if the answer in your head is no, you still got some yellow or red flags in there. You go back up into asking questions. And so you make your summary statement. Your summary statement is you are telling them everything that you have learned in the conversation, but then you're still going, man, do I know enough? No, I forgot this. I got to do this. Okay. So the answer is no, you go back up and ask questions. If the answer is yes, then you say, okay, I've got enough. I'm now going to go home and I'm going to make a presentation, and I want to come back. It's going to take me 1 day to get this presentation. So today is Monday. What I would like to do is come back on Wednesday at this same time, make my presentation, and then hopefully we'll come to a decision that makes sense to you, your budget, your timing, and everything. So that's the essence of selling. That's it. This is not rocket science. So then in the sales training course, these are the skills that you're going to learn and through the 7 lessons. Okay. So I want to spend a couple of minutes just going over that. And hold on a second. Dang, I wish you guys could see my screen. I've got myself all screwed up here. So there's one process that Walsworth Publishing asked. I don't have it. Not in here. I'll find it. So anyway, it's this 5 golden minutes. And this is what you do. When you go through this program, after every time you make an appointment, take 5 minutes after that appointment, whether it's a phone call, a Zoom call, an in-person call, and you're going to write, there's some questions that you can ask yourself. What did I do right? What did I do wrong? What did I miss? That's the key one. What did I miss? So if you haven't done the summary statement of do I know enough, I guarantee you, you're going to have to ask that question. So, and by the way, if you have to answer that question, what did I miss? That means you're not prepared to make a presentation yet. So those are the key things. What did I do right? What did I do wrong? What did I miss? And then did I send a thank you note? So those are the keys, and we cover that all in the PowerPoints. Oh, you can't see this, so I can't show it to you. So, but in essence, that is the guts of what the sales training program is. So lesson 1 is the intro. Lesson 2, we go into what's called behavioral styles. Everybody has a style where they like to be treated, and the styles program, you've all taken these personality tests. That's what they are. And one of the Myers-Briggs is one where they have all these weird phrases that I've never even heard of, like phlegmatic and all kinds of weird stuff. Mine is very simple. One of the very first sales training or behavioral styles that was done. And it's very simple. Essentially, there's 4 styles: amiable, expressive, drivers, and analyticals. And they all have different personality traits that likes to be done. So we talk about behavioral styles and how people like to be treated. Then lesson 3 is, okay, so now that I understand how people like to be treated, how do I incorporate that into my presentation? And so we talk about, it's called versatility. And then once you've gotten on the same page with your client, the other thing we talk about is, okay, now what happens when you get into a stressful situation? That's called backup behavior. And then lesson 3 is the communication skills. It's the whole thing that drives this is called the conversational circle, that drives it from the beginning to the end, where you make a statement or your customer makes a statement, and then you give them feedback, and then you ask them a question. So it's the feedback part that most people miss. So when you talk to people, a lot of times it's talk. Instead of trying to understand what's going on, what you do is the feedback is you're telling them that you're listening to them and understanding them, and that what prompts your very next question to get more information out of them so that you can now go home and make your presentation. So that's lesson 4. Lesson 5, hold on a second. Lesson 5, then, that's the asking question phase. And lesson 5, we give you the kinds of questions to ask, not specific questions, but general questions. Like the 5 journalism questions, those are the most valuable. The who, what, where, when, why, how much, how often, how many. We give you those kinds of questions to keep in mind that they are global, they are open questions. So that's where you gather all your information. And then lesson 6, I give you a chart. Okay, this chart is, now that you've got all that information, what do you do with it? And it's called features, benefits, and proofs. And I don't want to go into it right now, but this is your road. You've got your roadmap. This is how you're going to define that roadmap as to what specific streets and roads you're going to drive on. They're telling you what they want. You're going to show them, okay, you wanted this. I'll give you an example. And by the way, this is on the test. So let's take right here. So I'm going to book a family cruise, and I'm the one that's in charge, and I got people all over the country, and it's multi-generational. We're going to have, like, I don't know, 3 or 4 different generations of people. So one of the questions is, how do we keep people entertained? And we talk about features, which is what it is, the benefit, which is what it does, and then the proof. So multi-generational, So we're going to take a cruise. So the feature would be onboard activities. And this is just one example. Feature would be onboard activities. The benefit, so the feature is what it is. The benefit is what it does. It lets everybody spread out. And the proof is, those of you that have been on cruises, you know that every morning there's a roster of what's going to happen, an agenda of what's going to happen that day. So if you've ever been on a cruise, just collect those and bring them home with you. And that becomes your proof so that you can show people what happens. And then lesson 7 and 8 are combined, is making the presentation and then actually making the decision. So that whole thing is what we do in the sales training program. And like I said, this isn't rocket science. Really, it's a matter of paying attention. More than anything else, it's a matter of paying attention. So that's it in a nutshell. And I'm sure that, Mark, is there anything else you want me to cover?
Mike, can you talk about how this can also be used not just for sales, but also in recruitment as well?
Oh, yeah. So in the lessons, in lesson 6, when you're doing features and benefits on your travel, there's also a page where I've given you examples of how you can use it to recruit. So selling is selling. These principles that I am teaching you, not I, but that I'm showing you, these principles work across any industry that sells stuff. It doesn't matter where you go, what you do, what you're selling. It happens with everything. So I know Archer Travel wants you to sell travel. Evo Travel wants you to recruit people. What is it that you're comfortable with? Where is your passion? Is your passion in the recruiting and helping other people to a better life? Or is your passion in travel and taking advantage of the perks and showing other people how they can have better lives and more enjoyable lives through travel? This works either well, because and I don't know the evolution side because I'm only dealing with the Archer Travel side. So I don't know what kind of pressures or incentives or what's going on in the Evo side of the business. All I know is you are expected to sell both travel and you're expected to recruit for your line. This process works equally well for either side.
Great. Does anybody have any questions for Mike? And feel free to unmute yourselves or put them in the chat box and I will read them for him. Thank you very much, Caitlin, for posting the manual and the YouTube playlist and Mike's contact information into the chat. We really appreciate that.
Oh, now I can see people. Okay, does anybody have any questions? Would you like me to go back over stuff? I mean, I'm here for whatever you guys want to talk about.
Where's the recruiting side fall under, Archer or Evo? Can we recruit even if we are new? That is from MG. The recruiting side falls under Evo. You can recruit even if you are new. You want to talk to your mentor about that. So what we always say is that your first goal is to start selling by selling travel. Okay, because that's what the informational webinar is all about. We do talk about the mentorship side, and that is the recruiting side as well in the informational webinars. But your first reason for being here is to sell travel. So, but you can always talk to your mentor about the recruiting side as well. So, yeah, no problem. What other questions are there today for Mike or myself about this? Mr. Harvey Wall asks, out of all the lessons, which one do you find to be the most valuable or intriguing, Mike?
Well,
yes, and that's a loaded question for me. I'm sorry for that.
For me, for me, it's the thrill of the hunt. It's getting to know somebody, it's asking them the questions, and then it's my job. I always knew, I don't know why, but I always knew when I left a client on a yearbook meeting, I was 95% accurate for 27 years. When I come home, I tell my wife, I got these guys. Or I would come home and I go, no, I have no chance with this customer. But that's because I asked the questions that gave me the answers that I need um, to get to the sale. Now, for you, I asked you that very same question, and what did you tell me? What was the most valuable piece of the sales training for you, and what did you tell me?
Oh gosh, I mean, it was learning about myself.
Okay, you told me it was the verbal and nonverbal clues.
Yeah, and it's the verbal and the nonverbal communication skills too.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that you're going to learn more about your client with those nonverbal cues as well.
Right.
Than the verbal cues also.
Right.
And what they say.
Somebody just asked a question, but it went away. It was like 3 comments ago.
Yep. What do you do when a group is being wishy-washy about what they want? How do you get them to focus, for lack of a better word?
You go in with some expectations. What is it that you need to have happen? And sometimes it's simply a matter of when you walk in, and it's called the initial benefit statement, and that we cover, I believe, in lesson 3. And it's simply walking in and telling them why you're there. Hi, I'm Mike Archer from Archer Travel Service, and I'm here today to talk to your group about how we can save you time, energy, and money on your upcoming trip. Would you have, how much time do you have to devote to this? Then, after you get to know each other, then you ask them, okay, what is the main goal that you want to accomplish? And sometimes your questions, if they're being wishy-washy, don't be afraid to be pushy. I mean, be pleasantly persistent. You go, guys, here I am. Use me and abuse me. I can't help you if you don't tell me what you want. So first thing and just start off on a generality. Where is it you guys want to go? What is it you want to do? What's your budget? So in lesson 3 or 4, we talk about people, time, and money. Those are the 3 most important questions you can ask. Who's making the decision? When are they going to make the decision? And how much money do they have to throw at what it is they want to do? If you don't start anywhere else, start there. Or you could start off with global questions about if you can just get them to talk. Because you get in a bunch of group of people, and if they're meeting for the first time, they might not have any idea what they want to do. So those are some good places to start. If nothing else, don't be afraid to be pushy, pleasantly and persistently.
Right.
Because if you don't do that, you're going to walk away with there and you're never going to get them. So some people need to be pushed. They need to be pushed into making decisions, especially on the personality side. Who are the slow decision makers? The analyticals and the amiables. They don't make decisions quickly. Chelsea raised her hand.
Yes, Chelsea, go ahead.
Hi, Mike. Nice to finally get on the training with you.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I just wanted to ask, you said you're selling, I've heard it a few times. They say you're selling yourself first.
Right.
I know most of the time when we're marketing the travel. What would you have to say about marketing yourself for, like you said, building that establishment with the people first before we even get to the travel part?
Basically, the selling yourself part it happens in the background. And the conversational circle lets them know, especially when you're giving them feedback, it's letting them know that you are both hearing them and you're understanding what they're saying. And where they start to learn to trust you is when you give them the feedback and then you ask a relevant question relating to what they have just told you. So the trust factor comes in how you handle the feedback and the questions, and then it just builds from there. Does that help?
Yes, sir. So that goes back to, like you said, as far as how are you communicating and who are you communicating with, and the
Exactly right.
communication.
Exactly.
Good stuff. Thank you.
You
Okay.
bet.
Jeremiah, Jennifer, we'll get to you in just a moment. Sharon asks, what do you do when they say they don't know what their budget is? How do you push for a budget, Mike?
You go, okay. This is where you've got to get the answer to that question and say, look, I need to know where your budget is, not so I can maximize my commission, but so I can maximize the value for your trip. If I don't know how much money you're at least thinking about, I could give you a Cadillac trip and you've only got a Volkswagen budget. So, and that doesn't help anybody, because by doing that, I've wasted both of our times. I just need a ballpark. And I can talk to you. So if I know what your ballpark is, I can tell you what you can reasonably expect to get for that money. And by the way, I've been doing this for a long time. I can get pretty creative on a whole lot of ways to save you some money. So, but I can't do that if I don't know what I'm working with. You've got to be brutally honest with them. That's where the trust comes in. They have to, and part of that, some people are just reluctant to share money, and I get that, but they're going to hinder you. Say, I understand you're reluctant to share your budget with me. I can't do my job if I don't know what I'm working with. And so, and you say it pleasantly, but you say it in a way that says, look, I can't help you if you can't. I got to have answers to some basic questions, and this is one of them. And if they're still not willing to give you that number, you don't have a qualified buyer. It's that simple. So then you just, and by the way, I've done this. I said, I'm sorry, I would love to help you, but I can't. So, I'm afraid we're going to have to call this meeting to a close. And they're going, wait a minute, you're a sales rep. I go, yeah, that's what you're paying. That's what I get paid to do. But I can't sell you anything if I don't know what I'm selling. And so funny. They say, okay, sit down, and then we'll talk. It's not going to happen all the time, but again, it's critical. If you don't know who's doing the buying, when they're going to make the decision, and how much they've got to throw at the project, they're not qualified. So don't waste your time with them. It's really that simple.
Jeremiah, go ahead, buddy.
Jeremiah.
Okay, I'm back. I got mute. Sorry.
That's okay.
Okay. This is either going to be for Mark or for you, Mike. I want to talk for a moment about the recruiting side. Okay, the Evo side. I know the three major questions I would want to ask for the sales. Where do you want to go? Who wants to go? And how much you want to spend? Are there any questions I could ask for the recruiting side of it?
Mark, that's probably your bailiwick.
Ooh.
Well, I can tell you what I would do, Jeremiah. If I was recruiting somebody, I would just talk to them. Somebody asked me what I did. I said, well, I sell travel, and I make a pretty good income at it. And I'm looking for people that want to join me in the business. Very first question, make it general. Would you be interested in exploring something like that? Feel them out. Just say, would you be interested in exploring and coming in and partnering with me on what I do? And if the answer is yes, then I go, okay, then let's engage in a conversation. I can tell you a little bit about what the company is. And then if you have some questions, we can go from there. And then basically you're going to do the conversational circle. You're going to ask them a question, just a general question. Would you be interested? If the answer is yes, say, what interests you? And then just talk to them. What would interest you about this? Would it be the money? Would it be the travel perks? Would it be something else? And then you just build off of that using your feedback. I understand. Now let me ask you about this. and we cover those in lessons 3, 4, and 5. So does that help you?
Yes, yes, yes. Also, I thank you so much for the wisdom that you're sharing here. I've got notes upon notes from today and this session here. So if you don't mind, I'm stealing them.
Yeah. Hey, you just made my whole day. You steal away. Have a good time.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Jennifer.
Yep, go ahead, Jennifer.
Hello, Mr. Archer, sir. How are you?
Oh, I'm fine, but Mr. Archer was my dad. Just call me
Oh.
Mike.
Oh, okay. Yes, sir. Sorry, my
That's
father was
okay.
a Marine.
Fire away. What's up?
What are your like tips for because I'm new at this. I just started a few months ago. What would you say your best tips are for getting new clients and any kind of like social media marketing or any kind of wisdom you wish to impart upon a new travel agent?
Well, I will tell you, I've got something even better than that because I don't know. I sell, it's like Jose says in the morning briefings, I don't sell travel. I teach you how to sell in general principles. However, there is, and I'm Mark, I will send this to you that you can send to everybody. In the Travel Cafe, it's buried someplace, but there is a Word document that says 84 ways to market your business, and they're all from Evo agents. And I don't know if any of you have seen it, but
I have. Let me see if I can dig it up here, Mike.
I don't think I've found it yet because I've been
I will send, but what I will do is I will send it to Mark, and Mark can send it out to everybody, or send me an email and I'll send it directly to you. It's mike@archertravel.com. So if anybody's interested in that 84 marketing tips, I've got it on my computer. I will send it out to you. But here's some examples. Your school PTA, your church group at school. If you're currently working at a job, get excited and tell them about this side hustle that you're doing, and you're really enjoying it. And would somebody else, like to come in? So when somebody asks you what you do, say, I sell travel. Where do you want to go? And treat it lightly. Have fun with it. So people think that sales is this really serious, always down to business, and it's not. It's people interacting with people, and they come to a mutual conclusion that they both win. I win because I separate you from some of your money, and you win because I give you a good travel package
separate you for your money.
in the bargain. So those are just some. I know one person went around and set up. They set up a stand in front of a supermarket with a whole bunch of travel posters. There's a whole bunch of them in there. I can't remember all of them, but I will send them to you if you send me an email, and I'll send them to you.
Awesome. I recently got a t-shirt. It's actually in the mail right now that says, "Hi, I'm the travel agent. It's me."
Yes, I love it. That's perfect.
I'm a Swiftie, so I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's cool.
But it says, "Hi, I'm the travel agent. It's me." And I bought it on Etsy. It's a little small business. This lady prints t-shirts, and I'm like, yes, I need this. So
There
I'm gonna
you
be
go.
wearing that around because people will ask me about it.
And Jose, Archer Travel's got a bunch of stuff in their back room that's already printed. Send an email to Jose and ask him if there's anything that you could buy, or if you're going to the convention. I know they give a lot of stuff away at the convention.
My goal is to be at convention next year.
Sweet. Perfect.
Because I have a wedding group that I'm working with that's driving me batty.
And how are they driving you batty?
Said wishy-washy question from
Gotcha.
earlier.
Okay.
Alexa, stop. Sorry. My
That's okay.
Alexa was talking.
So what are they being wishy-washy about? Let's talk about this for a minute.
Mark has been graciously wonderful helping me. Mark, I appreciate you more than you ever know, sir. You are an angel. But they don't have a wedding date. They've officially changed locations for the second time.
Okay.
What?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
They've changed locations. The guest count dropped by like 60 people. And I can't get
Okay.
anybody to commit to a damn thing, so I'm about to just drop it.
You are what you would do is you say, okay, I tell you what, I'm going to circle back in 2 weeks to see what decisions you've come up with. And you're going to do that every 2 weeks
Okay.
or once a week. Say, I'll call you next week, see where you are. Not there yet? I'll call you next week, see where you are. What that does is that keeps you in front of them, and it lets them know that you're interested, and it lets them know you're the only one that can take care of them. But don't waste your time prodding stuff out of them if they don't know. There are a million people out there that are indecisive like that. Don't worry about it. Just say, okay, tell you what, I'll call you next week, see where you are. I'll call you next week, see where you are. And you just keep doing that until they come to some decisions and say, okay, now we've got the venue. What do you want to do at that venue? Or now we've got the date. Let's start making travel plans for those dates for people that are coming in from out of town. So you just work at a lot of these, you just work it a little bit at a time. I've never said this to anybody, but one of the statistics is that from the time you make an initial contact with somebody to the time you actually make a sale is anywhere from 1 to 10 contacts, telephone calls, emails, personal visits, whatever they are. Very, very rarely, if in my lifetime of sales, I made exactly 1 first call close. 1. No, I did 2. Sorry. And the only reason I got those 2 is it was because it was 1st of May and they needed their yearbook 3 weeks later, and we were the only company that could do it. And by the way, I got a lot of commission dollars out of those because I charged them full boat. But I also got them the next year. So
Yeah.
So first call closes are very, very rare. Don't expect them to happen. If
Okay.
they do, go have a glass of champagne someplace. Hope that helped.
I have another bride who's already committed booking her honeymoon, and we're working on that. And
Perfect.
so I'm good with my other client. It's just my first one is kind of driving me nuts.
Just be pleasantly persistent. Call them once a week. I'll call you next week. I'll call you next week. That's all you can do.
All right. Thank you so much. Because
You're welcome
it's
so
really
much.
hard not to make it a demoralizing situation. and
No,
be
it's
like, "Oh,
not.
God."
Listen, there are salespeople out there that they can't wait for people to tell them no so that they can get to the yeses faster. Literally, there are people out there that they'll say, no's, I know I'm going to get a yes or 2 in there someplace. So you just right now, you don't even have a no, you've just got maybes. So at least you're ahead of the game in that area. But don't worry about it. It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Thank you.
Don't
so
let it
much.
demoralize you. That is not what this is about. You just move on. You just move on to the next one. Say, well, this one didn't work out. Let's go find somebody else.
I love this business. I'm so excited. So thank you so much.
Well, okay. Let me tell you guys how I got started in this business so it'll help you. I'm 34 years old. I'm out of work, and I get an invitation to join this apartment company that sells supplies, and I have a territory. Never been in sales before. I've got this beat up Datsun pickup back when they were Datsuns and not Nissans. That tells you how old I am. And I got this beat up truck, and I got 3 kids and a mortgage, and I got bills. And the pot that I have to relieve myself in has got holes in it. That's how poor we were. I go to this cul-de-sac that's got 5 huge apartment buildings, and I can't get out of the car. I'm paralyzed. And I sit there for 15 minutes thinking about all of this stuff. And I finally said, and this is where I had my epiphany. I finally said, Mike, you're a nice guy. You've got some really good stuff to sell. If these people don't want what I have to sell, I'm going to go find somebody that does. And so in the next 30 days, I made 300 cold calls. And within 6 months, I was the #1 sales rep in the company. So that was my epiphany. It's going to happen, guys. Don't let this stuff get you down. I love this job. I love selling. I love talking about selling. It's the best ever because you're independent. You work for yourself. when I went into the yearbook business, I wanted a job where the only restriction on my money, on how much money I made, was how hard I was willing to work. And the best advice I ever got was from my mentor. He said, the best way to succeed in this business is to wear out car tires and shoe leather. And that's what I did for 27 years. So I hope that helps you guys. Does anybody else have any questions?
Yes, Caitlin, go ahead.
Hi, Mike.
Hi.
So I have a question about getting around to the rejections of like pricing. For example, I had a client who's moving to Scotland and feels like they can handle the trip on their own. So
Okay.
they decided to not go with my services, but their main objection for my services was the cost of everything that we were looking at. But they never gave me a budget, and also they didn't participate as a couple. They just talked about it as a couple alone, which is
Right.
fine. But how do you go about keeping that sale at the end when they're objecting to the cost of travel itself?
Okay. The first thing you want, whenever you get a price objection, is the first thing you want to do is you don't want to roll your eyes. You just take it non-defensively, and really that's the key. Take it non-defensively. Say, I understand that this is a goodly chunk of money. I've given you a proposal based on what you told me you wanted to do. Can you tell me, really, rather than you guessing where the problem is, make them tell you where the problem is. Can you tell me where you think we're out of line? Maybe I didn't explain something properly. Or maybe I missed something. Maybe I forgot to tell you on what's included and what's not included. So if you could just share with me where your concern is, let's try to work it out. And that, by the way, that comes in lesson 8, how we try to help resolve stalls and objections. So the key is, don't guess. Ask them, where do you think we're out of line, and how much, what, or another way to ask it is, this is what you told me you wanted to do. This is a really good price based on all the discounting and stuff that we've come up with. Share with me where you think this is out of line, and make them tell you. And then now you start the dialogue again. The key is to keep them talking. But remember, in the people, time, and money, one of the key things that you need to do when you're making your presentation is if this is a couple and they make the decision together, you can't present to just one. You got to present to both of them and got to make sure that they're both there.
The issue is the time and distance between her in the United States and him in Scotland.
They're apart.
Yeah, so
She
she's American and he's Scottish, and he flew to America to get married. And then the United States deported him because he stayed longer than the paperwork, because somebody at the immigration department didn't do their job.
Gotcha.
So now she's been fighting the Scottish government to get her visa to move to Scotland to be with him, and it's been like 6 years. So what's going on now is she's finally got her visa to move to Scotland, and so now she's trying to make the trip over to Scotland to be with him.
Gotcha.
So I could only do the first consultation, like
Okay.
the first meeting of like finding out what they wanted and what they needed and all of the things that, needed to be discussed about the trip.
Okay.
And then the objections came after that. And then she canceled all the appointments.
Caitlin, is this the one that you and I were working on?
Probably.
Okay. I remember
One of the
this vaguely.
things you could do is Archer Travel. I don't know if you guys know this, but Archer Travel is hooked up with some pretty serious discounters on travel. So one of the people when you get something like this would be a good time to call Jose or Susie and tell them what your dilemma is and see if what they can do. And so when they give you the price objection, say, okay, I'm not sure if I can do anything at all, but I've got some people I can call. I will have an answer for you tomorrow on if I can do better on pricing. I just don't know that. So let me call some people at Archer Travel and see if there's a way to help you out. And I guarantee you, if Archer Travel can't find the lowest price, it ain't out there to be found.
Okay.
So never, ever, ever in this lifetime be afraid to call Jose or Susie. That's what they're there for.
Sure. Okay.
Okay.
Great. Thank you.
You bet.
Well, everyone, thank you very much for being here tonight. I'd like to especially thank Mike for coming on and doing this training for us. I hope everyone will go and take his sales course in its entirety. Like I have said before and in my introduction, it has really changed the way that I do business, and it has changed the face of my business in terms of the amount of money that I am bringing in, and it has changed me as a person in reality, because I have been able to take a look at myself in a different light and in a different way. So, Mike, thank you very much for the wisdom that you have provided to us tonight. And I hope that everybody in here has gotten some new wisdom and will start taking your course and become Archer Travel's sales professionals with you. So thank you again for taking time out of your day for us.
I am happy to do this, and I will come on pretty much anytime. I'm happy to do this. This is so much fun for me, guys. I cannot tell you how much fun this is for me to help you guys improve your lives and your businesses. So thank you for joining, and I look forward to having it again. And if you want those 84 ways, send me an email, mike@archertravel.com, and I'll send it out to you right away. Okay,
Yep, Mike,
thanks, guys. See you later.
And Mike, if you'll send that to me, I'll go ahead and post that into the notes in
Done.
The recording. So
Done. I will.
Thank you
I'll send
again,
it as soon as
everybody.
we hang up.
Thank you again, everybody. And my normal training tomorrow will be going on at the same time. So thank you again for being here, and have a great rest of your evening.
Bye, guys. Thanks again. See ya.